I'm going to tell you about something I've never shared publicly before. Something that sounds impossible even to me, and I've built rockets that land themselves. For 3 years, I dreamed about a woman I'd never met, the same face, the same green eyes, the same scar above her left eyebrow. And last month, I found her. It started in November 2019. I remember the exact night because I was sleeping on the factory floor at Tesla's Fremont plant in California. We were racing to finish this Cybertruck prototype before the big reveal. I've been awake for 36 hours straight. My team practically forced me to lie down in a rolled up sleeping bag between two assembly machines. That's when I saw her for the first time. She was standing in front of a red brick building with white wooden window frames. The building looked old but well kept, like something from a different era. She wore a faded denim jacket, light blue, worn at the elbows. And on the left side, right above her heart, there was a small pin shaped like a sunflower. Her dark hair fell just past her shoulders. But what I remember most were her eyes. Green. Not emerald green or sea green, more like the color of new leaves in spring. And the scar, a thin white line above her left eyebrow, maybe an inch long. She looked directly at me in the dream. Her lips moved. I heard her voice as clearly as I hear my own thoughts. 3 words. Just 3 words. Don't give up. Then I woke up to the sound of welding torches and hydraulic presses. I sat up, disoriented, my back aching from the concrete floor. I checked my phone. I'd been asleep for 47 minutes, but that dream felt like it had lasted hours. I dismissed it immediately. Stress dream, nothing more. I was dealing with too much Tesla production targets, SpaceX Starship development, and the SEC still breathing down my neck after that funding secured tweet. My brain was simply processing the chaos, except the dream came back. 3 nights later at my house in Bel Air, same woman, same building, same denim jacket with the sunflower pin, same 3 words, don't give up. I woke up sweating, my heart pounding. Over the next few weeks, the dream returned again and again, always identical, every detail exactly the same. The way her hair moved in a breeze, I couldn't feel. The way afternoon sunlight hit the red bricks behind her. The way her expression combined sadness and hope in equal measure. By January 2020, I was having the dream 3 times a week. I started doing something I'd never done before. I began sketching her face. I'm not an artist, but I'm decent at technical drawings. During meetings, while engineers presented rocket designs or battery specifications, my hand would drift to the margin of my notepad. I'd draw her eyes, the curve of her jaw, that scar. My brother Kimball noticed in February 2022, we were having dinner at Nobu in Malibu, one of our rare brotherly catch-ups. I had zoned out while he talked about his restaurant chain, and my pen was moving across the napkin. "Who's that?" Kimball asked, pointing at the drawing. I looked down, I'd sketched her face without realizing it. The green eyes stared up at me from the white cloth napkin. "Nobody," I said quickly, "just thinking." Kimball gave me that look, the one that said he knew I was hiding something. "You've been drawing the same woman for months, Elon. I've seen the doodles in your notebooks. Is she real?" I put down my pen. "I don't know. What does that mean?" I told him everything. The dreams, the repetition, the impossible consistency of every detail. Kimball listened without interrupting, which wasn't like him. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "Have you tried to find her?" he finally asked. "How?" "She's a dream, Kimball. A stress-induced hallucination." You don't believe that." He was right. I didn't, because by 2022, the dreams had changed in one crucial way. They'd become more frequent. I was seeing her every single night, and the dreams were getting longer, more detailed. I could hear sounds now, birds chirping, distant traffic, the creak of a door. I could smell coffee and old books. The dreams felt less like dreams and more like memories of a place I'd never been. "Don't give up," she'd say each time. And each time, her eyes looked more urgent, more desperate. Space rocket explosions. I've watched millions of dollars burn up in seconds. I've been publicly mocked by world leaders and called crazy by journalists. But nothing scared me more than those dreams. Because what if she was real? What if this woman existed somewhere and I was supposed to find her? More terrifying. What if I never did? By August 2022, I'd filled 3 notebooks with sketches. Her face from every angle. The sunflower pen in detail. The red brick building's architecture. I was obsessed, and I knew it. I was sleeping less, down to 3 hours a night, partly because of work, partly because I was afraid of the dreams, and partly because I was desperate for them. My kids noticed something was wrong one afternoon at my house in Austin. My son asked, "Dad, why do you look so tired all the time?" I didn't have a good answer. How do you explain to a child that you're haunted by a woman who might not exist? The breaking point came in March 20. I just moved X headquarters to San Francisco, and I was working from the 10th floor overlooking the city. It was 2 a.m. I had fallen asleep at my desk. The dream came again, but this time it was different. The woman in the denim jacket stepped closer to me, so close I could see flecks of gold in her green eyes. She reached out her hand, as if trying to touch me through the barrier of sleep. Don't give up, she whispered. Please, I need you to keep believing. Her eyes filled with tears. I woke up with my face pressed against the desk, my own tears wetting the papers beneath my cheek. I stood up, walked to the window, and stared out at San Francisco's lights. The city looked cold and distant. I made a decision right then, an unusual one even for me. I was going to find her. I didn't care if it was impossible. I didn't care if people would think I'd lost my mind. I've built electric cars when everyone said it couldn't be done. I've landed rockets vertically when aerospace experts called it fantasy. I've sent a car into space because why not? Finding one woman should be easier than colonizing Mars. I had no idea that she was looking for me too, for a reason that would break my heart. That morning, March 2023, I walked into X headquarters with a plan that would sound insane to anyone else. But I've learned that the distance between insane and genius is just one successful outcome.
I called together a small team, 3 people I trusted completely. Sarah, a software engineer who'd been with me since the early Twitter days, Marcus, who ran our AI development, and Jennifer, who managed privacy and security. I brought them into a conference room on the 10th floor and locked the door.
I need your help with something personal, I said, and it has to stay completely confidential. They nodded, looking curious and slightly worried. I pulled out my latest notebook and opened it to a full-page sketch of her face. I need to find this woman. Sarah leaned forward. Who is she? I don't know her name, I don't know where she lives, I've never met her. Marcus frowned. Then, how? I've been dreaming about her for 3 years. Every night, the exact same face, the exact same details. I know this sounds crazy, but I need to know if she's real. The room went silent. I watched their faces carefully, waiting for someone to laugh or suggest I needed a vacation. Instead, Jennifer spoke first. What do you need us to do? I felt relief wash over me. I need us to use our AI image generation tools. I need to create a perfect portrait from my descriptions. Then I want to post it on X and see if anyone recognizes her. Over the next week, we worked right late into the nights. I described every detail I could remember while Marcus fed the information into our systems. The curve of her nose, the exact shade of her eyes, the way her hair fell, the scar above her eyebrow, the denim jacket, the sunflower pin. After 47 attempts, we had it. The AI-generated image looked exactly like the woman from my dreams. It was so accurate that my hands trembled when I saw it on the screen. That's her, I whispered. Sarah asked the question I'd been avoiding. What if nobody recognizes her? What if she really is just a dream? Then at least I'll know I tried. On March 28, 2023 at 11:47 p.m., I posted the image from an anonymous account we created. No blue check mark. An indication it was connected to me. Just a simple message. Have you seen this person? Please share. I sat back and waited. Within 30 minutes, the post had 200 shares. Within an hour, 5,000. By the time I finally fell asleep at my desk at 4 a.m., it had 50,000 shares. When I woke up 3 hours later, my phone was buzzing nonstop. The post had exploded overnight. 15 million views, 300,000 shares, 28,000 comments. My heart raced as I started reading through the responses. Most were jokes or people posting pictures of celebrities who looked vaguely similar. Some were cruel, people saying I was creepy or obsessed. Others were kind, saying they hoped I'd find whoever I was looking for. But nobody actually recognized her. Days passed, the post kept spreading. 20 million views and 30 million. We set up a separate email address to handle tips. Thousands poured in, each one felt like hope and each one led nowhere. A woman from Portland said it looked like her cousin. We video called her cousin, wrong person. A man from Brazil swore it was his neighbor. We examined photos. Not even close. A teenager from Ohio said it was her art teacher. The teacher was 60 years old. False lead after false lead. My hope began to crack. By mid-April, I'd almost given up. The post had been live for 3 weeks. If she existed, if anyone knew her, surely they would have responded by now. I was sitting in my office at SpaceX Starbase in Boca Chica, Texas, staring at the ocean of messages, when Jennifer knocked on my door. "There's one more," she said quietly. I almost deleted it because the account only has 47 followers. But something about it feels different. She handed me her tablet. The message was from an account called A. Rosa Chen ATX, posted 6 hours earlier at 3:34 a.m. But you read it once, then again, then a third time. That's my sister, Mira. She's been having dreams about a man with sad eyes who builds impossible things. Please contact me. This is important. My vision blurred. I set down the tablet before I dropped it. "Give me a phone number," I said. "Right now." It took Jennifer 20 minutes to track down a phone number connected to the account. Rosa Chen, age 38, living in Austin, Texas. Public records showed she worked as a nurse at Del Seaton Medical Center. I sat alone in my office at 2 a.m., staring at the number on my screen. My thumb hovered over the call button. This was it. This was the moment where I'd find out if 3 years of dreams meant something or nothing. I pressed call. The phone rang 4 times. I was about to hang up when a woman's voice answered, thick with sleep. "Hello? Is this Rosa Chen?" "Yes." "Who is this? It's 2 in the morning. My name is Elon Musk. You sent a message about my post about the woman in the picture." Silence. And, "Oh my God, it's really you. You said the woman in the picture is your sister, Mira." "Yes." Rosa's voice changed, becoming more alert. "I saw your post 3 weeks ago, but I didn't believe it at first. I thought it was some kind of trick. But that picture, it's exactly like my sister. Exactly. Scar above her eyebrow, the way her hair falls. Everything." My heart hammered in my chest. "Where is she? Can I meet her?" Rosa hesitated. "Mr. Musk, I need to tell you something first. Something strange. Mira has been drawing a man's face for the past 2 years. Over and over. The same face. And 2 months ago, I saw your picture in the news, and I realized the man she's been drawing looks exactly like you. The rim seemed to tilt." "What?" "She dreams about you. She's been dreaming about you since March 2022. A man with sad eyes who builds rockets and electric cars. She didn't know it was actually you until I showed her news articles. She thought she was going crazy. I couldn't speak. My mind was racing too fast." Rosa continued, her voice cracking. "I didn't respond to your post right away because I didn't know if I should tell her. She's been through so much. She stopped drawing 6 months ago because she gave up hope. She decided the man in her dreams wasn't real." "But I am real," I managed to say. "I know. That's why I'm calling you back now. Mr. Musk, I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand how you and my sister have been dreaming about each other, but I think you need to meet her." "Yes." "Where is she? I can be anywhere tomorrow." "She lives here in Austin." "But Mr. Musk," Rosa's voice dropped to almost a whisper, "you need to hurry." Those 5 words hit me like ice water. "What do you mean?" "Just come to Austin. I'll text you the address." "But please come soon." She hung up. I sat in the darkness of my office, my phone still pressed to my ear, listening to dead air. Outside the window, the Gulf of Mexico stretched endlessly into the night. Somewhere out there in Austin, just 3 hours away, was the woman from my dreams. And she'd been dreaming about me too. Rosa gave me an address in Austin, but she said 5 words that made my blood run cold. "You need to hurry, Elon." I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Rosa's text came through at 2:47 a.m. with an address 2156 Rosewood Avenue, Austin, Texas. Below it, she'd written Thursday afternoons, 3 p.m., Hope's Haven Community Center. Thursday. That was tomorrow. Well, today now, since it was past midnight, though less than 15 hours away. I spent the rest of the night pacing my office at Starbase, then driving back to Austin as the sun rose over the Texas landscape. The 3-hour drive felt like 3 days. My mind wouldn't stop racing. What did Rosa mean by hurry? Was Mira sick? Was she in danger? Was she moving away? And the bigger question, how were we dreaming about each other? I built my entire career on logic, on physics, on things that could be tested and proven. But this defied everything I understood about the world. 2 people, strangers, dreaming about each other for years. It was impossible. But so was landing a rocket on a floating platform in the ocean. So was making electric cars that people actually wanted to buy. Impossible just meant nobody had figured it out yet. By 2 p.m. on Thursday, September 15, 2024, I was parked 3 blocks away from the address Rosa had given me. I'd driven myself, no security, no assistance, nobody who could leak this to the press. Just me and my Model S, hands gripping the steering wheel, afraid to drive those final 3 blocks. What if she took one look at me and was disappointed? What if the man in her dreams was better than the real version? What if I built this up so much in my mind that reality couldn't possibly match it? At 3:53 p.m., I forced myself to start the car and drive. Rosewood Avenue was in East Austin near where the old airport used to be. The neighborhood had old oak trees lining the streets and houses from the 1950s with front porches and chain-link fences. Kids rode bikes on the sidewalk. An elderly man watered his lawn. Then I saw it. My foot hit the brake so hard the car jerked to a stop in the middle of the street. A horn honked behind me. I barely heard it. There on the right side of the street was the red brick building with white window frames. Exactly like my dreams. Exactly. The building was 2 stories tall, maybe built in the 1940s. The bricks were deep red, weathered but well maintained. The window frames were painted white, and someone had recently added flower boxes beneath each window filled with yellow and purple flowers. A hand-painted sign above the door read, Hope's Haven Community Center, established. I pulled into a parking spot across the street and turned off the engine. My hands were shaking. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, trying to steady them. This was real. The building was real, which meant she was real. For 20 minutes, I sat there, paralyzed. I watched people come and go through the front door. An elderly couple, a young mother with 2 small children, a man carrying a guitar case, normal people living normal lives. While I sat in my car having what might have been a panic attack. I'd faced angry shareholders. I'd testified before Congress. I'd watched rockets explode in front of thousands of people, but I'd never been this terrified. At 3:14 p.m., I finally opened the car door and stepped out. My legs felt weak. I walked across the street, up 3 concrete steps, and pushed open the front door of Hope's Haven. Then a smell hit me first. Coffee brewing somewhere. Old books. Furniture polish. The exact smells from my dreams. Inside was a large open room with wooden floors that creaked under my feet. Bulletin boards covered the walls, filled with flyers for yoga classes, art lessons, and community dinners. To my left was a small kitchen area where an older woman was washing coffee mugs. To my right, a hallway stretched toward the back of the building. The woman at the sink looked up and smiled. Can I help you, honey? My voice came out rough. I'm looking for... There's supposed to be a pottery class. Oh, sure. Down the hall. Last door on the right. Mira's class. You here join? Mira. Her name was Mira. Yes, I said, I'm here for Mira. The woman's smile widened. She's wonderful. Best pottery teacher we ever had. Go on back. Walked down the hallway, my footsteps echoing off the walls. Old photographs lined both sides. Pictures of the community center through the decades. Children playing, families eating together, people building something that mattered. The last door on the right was open. I heard voices inside, laughter, the sound of water splashing. I stopped in the doorway. The room was bright and messy, filled with pottery wheels and shelves of clay projects. 6 elderly people sat at wheels, their hands covered in wet clay, focused on their work. Soft music played from a small speaker in the corner, something classical and gentle. And there in the center of the room, standing beside a woman with white hair, was her Mira Chin. She wore the denim jacket, faded light blue worn at the elbows. And yes, there it was, the small sunflower pin above her heart. Her dark hair was pulled back in a loose ponytail. She was leaning over the white-haired woman's pottery wheel, her hands guiding the older woman's hands, helping shape the spinning clay. Then she looked up. Our eyes met across the room. Her green eyes, the same ones I'd seen 1,000 times in my dreams. And the scar above her left eyebrow, a thin white line catching the afternoon light. For 3 seconds, maybe 5, we just stared at each other. The pottery wheels kept spinning. The music kept playing. But everything else stopped. Then Mira's hands slipped off the clay. She stepped backward, bumping into a shelf. The clay bowl wobbled and fell, shattering on the floor in a spray of wet pieces. Sorry, she whispered to no one in particular. Her eyes never left mine. I'm sorry, She walked toward me like she was in a trance. The elderly students looked confused, watching their teacher cross the room. Mira stopped 3 feet away from me, close enough that I could see her chest rising and falling with quick breath. The sad-eyed builder, she said softly. You're real. I couldn't speak. My throat had closed up. All I could do was nod. Mira's eyes filled with tears. I stopped believing. I'm sorry. I stopped believing you existed.
I'm here.
I finally managed to say, I'm real. One of the elderly students called out, Mira, do you know this man? Mira didn't look away from me. Yes, no, I don't know. I never met him, but I've known him for 2 years. She turned to her students, her voice shaking. I'm so sorry. Can we end class early today? I need to go, the white-haired woman said gently. We'll clean up, you go. Mira grabbed her bag from a chair and looked at me. There's a garden out back. Can we talk there? I followed her through a back door into a small courtyard garden. Someone had planted roses along the fence, and there were 2 wooden benches beneath an oak tree. We sat down, a careful 2 feet of space between us. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. We just sat there, 2 strangers who knew each other's faces better than our own. When did they start? I asked. The dreams? March 2022, Mira said, staring at her hands. After my accident, I was driving home from work on Highway 183, and a truck ran a red light, hit me right on the driver's side. My car flipped 3 times. She touched the scar above her eyebrow. This is from that. Broke through the windshield. How bad was it? Bad. I was in a coma for 6 days at Del Seaton Medical Center. The doctors weren't sure I'd wake up. She finally looked at me. When I did wake up, everything felt different. Wrong, somehow. And that first night in the hospital, I dreamed about you. What did you see? You were standing in a giant room full of rockets. You looked exhausted and sad. You were staring up at them like they were your children and you'd failed them somehow. She wiped her eyes. I didn't know who you were at first. Just a man with the saddest eyes I'd ever seen. But I felt like I knew you, like I'd known you forever. My chest ached. I dreamed about you first. November 2019. I was at the Tesla factory sleeping on the floor. You told me not to give up. I've said those words to you 200 times in my dreams. I've heard them 200 times. We sat silence again. A bird sang somewhere in the oak tree above us. Traffic hummed in the distance. The normal world continuing while ours had just split open. I work at Overton Elementary, Mira said suddenly. I teach art to middle schoolers. I volunteer here every Thursday because my sister Rosa works at the hospital nearby and she says, I need to get out more. I drive a 15-year-old Honda Civic. I'm 34 years old. I've never been married. I'm completely ordinary. You're not ordinary to me. She looked at me with those green eyes. Why is this happening? How are we dreaming about each other? I don't know. I've spent 3 years trying to figure it out. I've built companies worth billions of dollars, but I can't explain this. Mira pulled a small sketchbook from her bag. I started drawing you in the hospital. The nurses thought I was drawing from memory, someone I knew, but I'd never seen you before. She opened the sketchbook and handed it to me. Page after page of my face, dozens of sketches, me looking sad, me looking tired, me looking up at something beyond the page. The detail was incredible. She'd captured expressions I didn't even know I made. I showed these to my sister 6 months ago, Mira said. Rosa does the night shift hospital, so she's awake at weird hours, scrolling social media. She saw your face in a news article about SpaceX, called me at 3 in the morning, screaming that she'd found you, but didn't reach out.
Would you believe me if I did?
Hi, Mr. Musk. I've been drawing your face for 2 years because you appear in my dreams. I'd sound insane. I posted your face on X, hoping someone would recognize you. Who's more insane? She almost smiled, and then her expression changed, becoming serious and frightened. There's something else, Mira said, her voice dropping to almost a whisper. Something the doctors told me. Something that explains why we're connected. My heart started pounding harder. What? She stood up from the bench. I need to show you something. At my apartment. It's not far from here. Can you come? I stood too. Yes. Whatever it is, I need to know. We walked back through the community center. The other students were gone. The pottery wheels quiet. Outside, the sun was lower in the sky, painting everything golden. Mira looked at my Model S parked across the street. Of course you drive a Tesla. Do you want to ride with me, or should I follow you? She hesitated, then said, I'll ride with you. My car's at home anyway. I walked here today. We got into my car. Mira gave me directions to her apartment on East 7th Street, just 10 minutes away. As I drove, I kept glancing at her in the passenger seat. She was real, solid. Her denim jacket had a small tear near the pocket that I'd never seen in the dreams. Her hands had clay dust under the fingernails. These tiny real details made her more impossible and more real at the same time. You're staring, she said softly. Sorry. I've seen your face 1,000 times, but this is different. I know. Me too. We pulled up to a small apartment building, old but well kept, with a courtyard full of plants. Mira led me up an outdoor staircase to the second floor, in a 2D. Her hands shook as she unlocked the door. Inside was a tiny studio apartment, a bed in one corner, a small kitchen in another. Art supplies scattered on every surface. The walls were covered in paintings and drawings. Landscapes, portraits, abstract designs, and drawings of me, at least 20 of them, taped to the wall above her bed. Mira saw me looking. I took down the others. There used to be more. She walked to her closet and pulled out a worn cardboard box. She set it on a small kitchen table and looked at me, her eyes full of something I couldn't read. Fear, sadness, both. Everything you think you understand is about to change, she said. She opened the box. Inside were stacks of papers, manila folders, and photographs. Everything was organized with labels written in careful handwriting. Medical records, newspaper clippings, letters. Mira's hands trembled as she pulled out the first item. It was a photograph, slightly faded, showing a mangled car on a highway. The front end was completely crushed. Shattered glass sparkled on the dark pavement. Emergency lights flashed red and blue in the background. This is my accident, Mira said quietly. March 2022, Highway 18-3 near the Breaker Lane exit. A truck ran a red light going 60 miles per hour. I looked at the destroyed vehicle and felt sick. I can't believe you survived that. I almost didn't. She set down the photo and pulled out another one, but that's not what I need to show you. The second photograph showed a different accident scene. Different car, different angle, but something about it looked familiar. The same stretch of highway, the same traffic lights in the background. Mira placed a newspaper clipping beside it. The paper was yellowed, the edges worn. I leaned closer to read the headline from the Austin American-Statesman, dated December 8. Tech executive's wife killed in Highway 18-3 collision. My blood went cold. Read it, Mira said. I picked up the clipping with shaking hands and read, Elena Torres, 32, died yesterday evening after a collision on Highway 18-3 near the Breaker Lane exit. Torres was driving home from a grocery store when her vehicle was struck by a pickup truck that ran a red light. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Torres was the wife of David Torres, a propulsion engineer at SpaceX. She is survived by her husband and her parents. Services will be held. I stopped reading. The newspaper fell from my hands onto the table. David Torres, and I knew that name. David had worked at SpaceX since 2017, brilliant engineer. Quiet, focused, incredible at solving problems nobody else could crack. And in early 2020, he'd taken an extended leave. I remember now, his wife had died. I'd even attended the memorial service at a small church in Austin, though I hadn't known the details of how she'd passed. I don't understand, I said. What does this have to do with? Mira pulled out another document. This one was official with a hospital header, Del Seaton Medical Center. The words at the top made my vision blur. Organ transplant summary. The accidents happened at the exact same location, Mira said, her voice barely above a whisper. 3 years apart, same stretch of Highway 18-3, same intersection. Both times, a truck ran the same red light. She pointed to the transplant document. Elena Torres died on December 17th, 2019. She was an organ donor. Her heart was viable. They kept her on life support until they found a match. My mouth went dry. Mira, I received her heart, Mira said, tears streaming down her face now. March 2022. When that truck hit me, my heart was damaged beyond repair. I needed an emergency transplant or I'd die within hours. They found a match in the donor registry, a heart that had been preserved, waiting. She pulled out another paper, showing me the donor information. Most of it was redacted to protect privacy, but I could see the dates. Donor death, December 17, 2019. Transplant date, March. Elena Torres' heart has been beating inside me for 2.5 years, Mira whispered. The room spun. I sat down hard on the edge of her bed, trying to process what she was telling me. Elena Torres, David's wife. Her heart was now keeping Mira alive. You said you started dreaming about me after the transplant, I said slowly. The first night I woke up from surgery, March 20, and I started dreaming about you in December 2019, the exact time Elena died. We stared at each other, both of us understanding what this meant, even though it was impossible. Mira pulled out her phone and opened a folder of old photos. I found Elena's social media after I learned who my donor was. The hospital gave me her name 6 months ago, after I requested donor family contact information. Look, she showed me photo after photo from Elena's life. Elena at the beach, Elena at her wedding, Elena at family dinners, and then my breath caught Elena at a SpaceX event. That was July 2019, Mira said. 5 months before she died. SpaceX held a family barbecue at the Starbase facility in Boca Chica for all the employees and their families. I zoomed in on the photos. There were dozens of people in the background standing near the launch pad, eating from paper plates. And there, just at the edge of the frame, was me, talking to a group of engineers, holding a bottle of water. Elena had been there, 20 feet away from me, maybe less. We'd been at the same place at the same time, and I'd never known it. There are 3 more photos from that event, Mira said, swiping through them. Elena loved SpaceX. David said she used to tell him that what you were doing mattered, that reaching for Mars meant reaching for hope. My eyes burned. I blinked hard, trying to focus. After the accident, David took time off work, I said. He came back in 20. He barely talked to anyone for months. I should have checked on him more. I should have. You couldn't have known, but I knew he was hurting. Mira pulled out one more item from the box, an envelope sealed with writing on the front, "To my heart recipient, open when you meet the builder." My hand shook as I took it from her. What is this? Elena left it with her lawyer before she died. The lawyer gave it to me 2 months ago, in June 2024, after I told the donor family about my dreams. I met David once at a coffee shop called Bennu on East 1st Street. He brought this letter. She wrote this before the accident, the morning of December 17th, 2019. It's notarized, time-stamped. She wrote it hours before she died. That's impossible. How could she know? Read it, Mira said. I opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside was a single sheet of lined paper, covered in neat handwriting. The date at the top, December 7th. I read it out loud, my voice breaking. To whoever receives my heart, if you are reading this, it means I was right. I dreamed I would die young. I dreamed my heart would go to someone special, and I dreamed that person would meet a sad man who builds rockets and changes the world. His name is Elon. I met him once at a barbecue in Texas. He looked tired and sad. He carries the weight of impossible dreams. Please tell him this. Don't give up. Not on the stars. Not on saving humanity. Not on believing in impossible things. I believe in him. My heart believes in him. And now you do too. Thank you for carrying my heart forward. Thank you for finding him. Love, Elena Torres, December. The letter fell from my hands. I couldn't breathe. My chest felt like it was being crushed. She knew. I whispered. Elena knew she was going to die. She knew her heart would go to you. She knew you'd find me. I don't understand how, Mira said, crying openly now. I've read about precognition, about people having premonitions before accidents. But this, you wrote specific details. Your name, your work, the fact that we'd meet. I stood up and paced her tiny apartment, my mind racing through possibilities. There are theories, quantum entanglement of consciousness. The idea that time isn't as linear as we think. That information can flow backward or forward under certain conditions. That's science fiction. So are reusable rockets. So are electric cars that drive themselves. I stopped pacing and looked at her. What if Elena somehow saw the future? What if, in the moments before her death, she experienced time differently? What if she saw you receiving her heart and meeting me? Then why would I dream about you? And why would you dream about me? That was the question I couldn't answer. I sat back down, my head in my hands. Cellular memory, Mira said suddenly. I read about it after the transplant. Some heart recipients report having new preferences, new memories, even dreams that belong to their donors. Scientists think it's impossible, but there are hundreds of documented cases. So you're dreaming about me because Elena knew me, because her heart carries some kind of memory of that SpaceX barbecue. Maybe. But that doesn't explain why you've been dreaming about me since the night she died. You didn't know Elena. You'd never seen my face. She was right. The logic broke down there. Unless, what if it's both? I said slowly, what if Elena's consciousness somehow connected us at the moment of her death? What if she saw the future and linked our minds across time? That's impossible. Everything about this is impossible. But it's happening. Mira walked to her window and stared out at the street below. The sun was setting now, painting the sky orange and purple. David told me something else when we met. The night before Elena's accident, she woke up crying. She told him she dreamed about dying. She made him promise to donate her organs if anything happened. She was specific about it. She said someone would need her heart, that it was important. She planned for this. Yes, and that means... Mira turned back to me, her eyes wide. That means we were always supposed to meet. This was always going to happen. The weight of that statement settled over us both. 3 years of dreams, an impossible connection spanning life and death. 2 accidents at the same intersection, 3 years apart. An organ donation that seemed destined. I need to meet David, I said. I need to talk to him. I can arrange that. But Elon, Mira's voice cracked. What does this mean? Why did Elena connect us? What are we supposed to do? I stood and walked to her. We were inches apart now. I could see the gold flecks in her green eyes that I dreamed about for 3 years. I could hear Elena's heart beating in her chest. I don't know, I said honestly. But she said not to give up on the stars, on saving humanity, on believing in impossible things. I paused. Maybe that's what this is about. Maybe Elena knew I needed that message, that I needed proof that impossible things are real. So this is about you. No, I think it's about all of us. You, me, David, Elena. I think she found a way to keep living through you, to keep believing through both of us. Mira reached up and placed her hand over her heart, over Elena's heart. She's still here, isn't she? Part of her is still alive. Yes? We stood there in her small apartment as darkness fell outside, 2 strangers bound together by dreams and death and a heart that refused to let love die. There's one more thing, Mira whispered. Something that will change everything you think you know. She walked back to the cardboard box and reached into the bottom, pulling out a small blue folder. Her hands were shaking so badly she almost dropped it. When I met David in June, he told me something he's never told anyone. Not his family, not his friends, not even the investigators after the accident. She opened the folder and pulled out several handwritten pages. Elena kept a journal. She wrote in it every morning. David found it after she died, but he couldn't read it. It was too painful. He put it away for 4 years. What changed? I changed. When David learned that his wife's heart was keeping me alive, and that I was dreaming about you, about Elon Musk, the man Elena admired. He finally read her journal, and he found something that terrified him. She handed me the pages. There were photocopies, not the originals. The handwriting was the same as the letter, neat, careful, slightly slanted to the right. December 16th, 2019, I read the date at the top, the day before she died. Read the entry, Mira said quietly. I read aloud. I had the dream again last night. The terrible one. I'm driving on Highway 18-3, and there's a truck. The red light, the impact, the darkness. I've had this dream 12 times in the past month. Each time it feels more real. But this time, something new happened. After the darkness came light. I saw myself from above. I saw doctors working on me. I saw David crying. And then I saw forward. I don't know how else to explain it. I saw time moving like a river. And I could see downstream. I saw my heart living on in someone else. A woman with kind eyes and dark hair. She was painting in a small apartment. And my heart was beating in her chest. I could feel it, my heart. But not in my body anymore. And I saw him, the sad-eyed man from the SpaceX barbecue, the one David introduced me to briefly, Elon Musk. He looked older in my vision, more tired. He was standing with the woman who has my heart. They were looking up at the sky together. I don't understand what this means. I don't understand if these are just anxiety dreams, or if I'm actually seeing the future, but the dreams feel real, too real. If this is really going to happen, if I really am going to die tomorrow, then I need to make sure my death means something. I need to make sure my heart finds the right person. I need to make sure she finds him. David thinks I'm being paranoid. I haven't told him about the specific details. How can I? How do I tell my husband that I dreamed my own death date? I stopped reading, my throat tight. There's more? Keep going, Mira said. I continued. Written to write a letter today. I'm gonna leave it with our lawyer, Mr. Patterson. Instructions to give it to whoever receives my heart, but only when certain conditions are met. Only when they meet Elon. I'm also going to make David promise, truly promise, to donate my organs if anything happens. He thinks it's morbid that I keep bringing it up. Yeah, but I need him to understand it's important. Here's what I believe. I think some people are meant to carry messages forward. I think love doesn't end when we die. It transforms. It finds new ways to exist. And I think my purpose, if I really am going to die young, is to connect to people who need to believe in impossible things. The woman with dark hair, she'll need my heart to live. And Elon needs someone to remind him why his impossible dreams matter. He looked so sad at that barbecue, like he was carrying the weight of the entire future on his shoulders. Maybe my heart can be the bridge between them. Maybe that's why I'm seeing this. I'm scared. I'm so scared, but I'm also strangely calm. If this is real, if tomorrow's my last day, then at least I know my heart will keep beating. It will keep loving. It will keep believing. That has to be enough. Tomorrow I'll find out if I'm crazy or if I really can see the future. I hope I'm crazy. I hope I wake up on December 18th and laugh at how paranoid I was. But if I don't, if this journal is found after I'm gone, then I need whoever reads this to know I saw this coming. I chose this, and I'm not afraid anymore. Love never dies. It just changes form. Elena, I set down the pages, unable to speak. My hands were numb. My mind couldn't process what I'd just read. She knew, Mira whispered. The day before the accident, she knew exactly what was going to happen. She saw me. She saw you. She saw us meeting. That's not possible. But it happened. David checked the lawyer's records. Elena called Mr. Patterson on the morning of December 17th and had the letter notarized. She made David promise that same morning to donate her organs, and 12 hours later she was dead. I stood up and walked to the window, staring out at the darkening street. Cars passed by. People walked their dogs. The normal world, where people didn't see their own deaths coming, where hearts didn't carry messages across time. There are documented cases, I said slowly, my mind grasping for logic, for science, for something that made sense. People who predict their own deaths. Abraham Lincoln dreamed about his assassination. Mark Twain predicted he'd die when Halley's Comet returned. Some people have a sense of when their time is coming. But Elena didn't just sense it. She saw specific details. My face. Your face. This meeting. Quantum consciousness, I said, thinking out loud. What if our consciousness isn't entirely bound by linear time? What if, under certain conditions, extreme stress, near-death experiences, or knowing death is imminent, our consciousness can access other points in time? You're saying Elena's consciousness moved forward in time and saw us? Or backward? Or both? I turned to face her. What if time isn't a line? What if it's more like a network? And most of us can only see the one point where we're standing, but some people, under some circumstances, can see the connections. Mira sat down on her bed, overwhelmed. So you think Elena's consciousness somehow jumped forward, saw that her heart would keep me alive, saw that I would meet you, and then came back to leave us a message. I think Elena did something impossible, just like we're doing something impossible right now. Just like I do impossible things every day with rockets and electric cars. I sat down beside her. The universe is stranger than we think. Quantum entanglement lets particles communicate instantly across any distance. Time dilation means time literally moves at different speeds, depending on gravity and velocity. Why couldn't consciousness do something similar? Because it's never been proven. Nothing is proven until it is. I looked at her. We're the proof, Mira. You and me. The dreams. The connection. Elena's journal. We're living evidence that consciousness can transcend normal space and time. Mira put her head in her hands. This is too much. Yesterday I was just an art teacher who had weird dreams. Today I find out I'm connected to you through a dead woman's heart, and that she predicted all of this before she died. I put my hand on her shoulder. I know it's overwhelming, but think about what this means. Elena didn't just predict her death. She engineered something beautiful from it. She made sure her death would create life. She made sure her heart would find you. She made sure you and I would meet. But why? What's the point of all this? That was the question I've been asking myself. Why would Elena go to such lengths? Why connect us? Then it hit me. The message. I said, don't give up. That's what this is about. I stood up and started pacing again, the pieces falling into place. In December 2019, I was at my lowest point. Tesla was barely surviving. The SEC was attacking me. The media was calling me a fraud. I was working 100-hour weeks, sleeping on factory floors, and starting to believe that maybe everyone was right. Maybe I was just crazy. Maybe trying to get humanity to Mars was a stupid dream. Mira watched me, understanding dawning in her eyes. Elena saw that. I continued. She saw me at that barbecue 5 months earlier, and she could tell I was struggling. And somehow, when she knew she was going to die, she decided to use her death to send me a message. Through you. Through her heart beating in your chest. Through dreams that would force us to find each other. Don't give up, Mira whispered. Don't give up on Mars. Don't give up on changing the world. Don't give up on believing that impossible things can happen. I looked at Mira. You were her proof. You were supposed to show me that if a heart can keep beating after death, if two strangers can dream about each other across years, if a dying woman can see the future and leave messages in it, then nothing is truly impossible. Tears streamed down Mira's face. She saved both of us. Her heart saved my life, and her message saved yours. Yes. We sat in silence for a long moment, feeling the weight of Elena's gift, her sacrifice, her impossible, beautiful act of love that reached across death itself. I want to meet David, I said finally. I want to thank him, and I want to do something for Elena, something that honors what she did. What did you have in mind? I pulled out my phone and made a call. It rang twice before a familiar voice answered. Gwen, it's Elon. I need you to prepare something for the next Starship mission. Something small but important. Gwen Shotwell, SpaceX's president, sounded confused. What kind of something? A medallion. Titanium. Small enough to fit in my palm. I'll send you the design specifications tomorrow. He needs to be ready for Flight 6. What's going on? I'll explain later. Can you do it? Of course. To Elon. Thank you. I'll call you tomorrow with details. I hung up and looked at Mira. Elena's message is going to space. Her words will fly beyond Earth, and eventually they'll go to Mars. Mira's hand went to her chest, to Elena's heart. She'd love that. I know. I called David next. He answered on the first ring, as if he'd been waiting. David, it's Elon Musk. I need to see you. Tomorrow, if possible. There was a long pause, then she found you. Mira found you. Yes. And I read Elena's journal. David, I'm so sorry. I should have been there for you after. You didn't know. Nobody knew what Elena saw. His voice cracked. Can you come to Starbase? I'm here running engine tests. I'll be there at 9 a.m. Bring Mira, she should be there too. The next morning, September 22, 2024, we drove to Starbase together. Mira had never been to a SpaceX facility before. She stared out the window as we approached the massive rocket launch site on the Gulf of Mexico, her eyes wide with wonder. Elena came here, she said softly, for that barbecue. She stood where we were going to stand. Her heart is coming back, I said, full circle. We met David on the launch pad. He was exactly as I remembered, tall, thin, with dark hair starting to gray at the temples, but his eyes were different now, less haunted than the last time I'd seen him, almost peaceful. He looked at Mira for a long moment, then he smiled, a real, genuine smile. You have her heartbeat, he said. I can tell. You stand like she stood, confident, ready for anything. Mira started crying. David stepped forward and pulled her into a hug. Thank you. He whispered, thank you for keeping her alive. They stood there on the launch pad, two people connected by the most intimate gift one person can give another. I felt like I was intruding on something sacred. Finally, they separated. David turned to me. Elena believed in you, he said. She used to watch your interviews and read about SpaceX. She'd tell me, that man is going to save humanity. That man is going to make us a multi-planetary species. She believed it when nobody else did. I wish I'd known her better. You know now. Through Mira, through the dreams, through everything Elena set in motion. David looked up at the Starship rocket towering above us. What are you planning? I told him about the medallion, about sending Elena's message to space and eventually to Mars. David's eyes filled with tears. She'd call that the most romantic thing anyone ever did. It's the least I can do. The three of us stood together on that launch pad, looking up at the rocket that would carry Elena's words beyond Earth. The sun was rising over the Gulf, painting everything gold and orange. Mira placed her hand over her heart. David placed his hand over hers. I placed my hand over both of theirs. We could feel it. Elena's heartbeat, still strong, still fighting, still believing. Love never dies, David said, echoing his wife's words. It just changes form. 3 weeks later, on October 13, 2024, Starship Flight 6 launched from that same pad. Inside, among the test equipment and satellites, was a small titanium medallion, no bigger than a coin, engraved on it. Elena Torres, 1987-2019, don't give up, love never dies. The launch was perfect. Starship reached orbit. The medallion flew above Earth at 17,000 miles per hour, looking down at the planet where Elena had lived and died, and somehow reached across time itself. Mira, David, and I watched from mission control. When the orbital insertion was confirmed, Mira put her hand over her heart. She's flying, Mira whispered. Elena's flying. I turned to them, these two people who'd given me the impossible gift of proof. Proof that love transcends death, proof that consciousness is stranger and more beautiful than we ever imagined. Proof that impossible things happen every single day. I dreamed about a woman I'd never met, I said. I found her, but what I really found was proof that love is the most powerful force in the universe. More powerful than gravity, more powerful than time, more powerful than death itself. He looked up at the screen showing Starship's trajectory carrying Elena's message toward the stars. They say dreams are just random neurons firing. They say coincidence is just probability playing out. They say consciousness ends when the body dies. But I'm a man who lands rockets on floating platforms. I'm a man who builds cars that drive themselves. And I'm a man who found the woman from his dreams. Because a dying woman saw the future and left a message in it. I paused, thinking about Elena, about her impossible gift, about the heart beating in Mira's chest. Don't give up. And Elena was right. Her heart still beats. Her love still lives. And impossible things happen every single day if we're brave enough to believe in them. Mira took my hand, David took her other hand. We stood there, three people bound together by dreams and death, and a heart that refused to stop believing.
I finally found her, I said quietly. The woman I saw in my dreams. But what I really found was something bigger, proof that we're all connected in ways science hasn't explained yet. Proof that consciousness can reach across time. Proof that one person's love can change the future.
On the screen, Starship continued its orbit, carrying Elena's message around the world. And someday, maybe someday soon, that medallion would be on the first mission to Mars. Elena's words would reach another planet. Her belief would travel 40 million miles. Because love never dies. It just changes form. And impossible things, beautiful, terrifying, impossible things are real.